in a lot of pressure being the first son of my father's in Taiwan. Uh, he ran away from communists. He was the only survivor that came to Taiwan because of the Civil War. My grandparents were executed. So I was carrying the family name and the duty. And I think I was a born entertainer. I'm this funny guy who wanted to do drama and theater. And in our society, it was looked upon very low.
翅膀一个比一个硬，爱怎么样就怎么样，谁理你呀？真不值得，我告诉你。
He's a high school principal of the best high school, one of the best high school in Taiwan. I felt this tremendous guilt of flunk the college examination and do what I wanted to do, which is making movies. And it took a long, I never made a penny before I was 37. Up to my second film, I never make any money. My wife was working and I was cooking at home and writing script and bringing up kids. So I was ashamed for a long time, a lot of pressure in me.
Each Man Woman really takes place as the third of our so-called Father Knows Best trilogy, where you're really seeing the kind of, the Confucian fatherly role model slowly turn into something else, and something a little bit more, as we would say, modern.
It's a father, a traditional Chinese father. It's just awkward. There's no communication with the daughter.
早。
早，爸。
Just the sex differences will make all the awkwardness. So they have to communicate sort of in a superficial way and caring underneath, but there's hardly any fluent communication due to lack of mother.
你还好吧？
我很好啊。你问这个干啥？
没有，我看你
我有什么不对啊？
没有。
The father is very isolated. He is like my father or a lot of people in that age that came from China due to civil war.
Part of what the film both celebrates and also interrogates is this sense of Dad himself having these desires, having his own agenda, which was the last thing anybody could have thought of.
请伯母成全我们，我先干为敬。
妈，妈。
The daughters had to find their own way towards figuring out their own roles in the family and realizing that they had to connect to themselves and to each other and to their father in ways that were truer to what they needed and what they were. It's a space of transition. It's a space where they don't quite know what their role is.
Due to love and traditional manners, they have to obey, they have to care, but they're not really level with each other. I think that's the biggest problem in that family. So the food and the banquet in the movie has become a ritual.
亲。
After the wedding banquet, I was approached by many Hollywood characters, and I really didn't want to deal with that. I feel desperate need to establish myself as a Chinese filmmaker. I need to go back home. It was actually the first movie, and so far the only movie I made in my hometown, Taiwan. Visually, I would like to provide hints of a society such as Taipei in transition. I feel like a visitor and a homecoming at the same time. So any cue like that hits me, the top view of a lot of motorcycles. A woman conduct traffic transit will interest me, or high school. That's somewhat different from when I was in high school, but still familiar. For the first three movies, me and my cameraman John Lin, we didn't really have specific plans. The first two movies were kind of survivals, natural light. For Each Man Woman, it's the first time we actually have the luxury to do something more refined, cinematography. There's a scene of Mr. Chu come to rescue that was in the script. Whereas any filmmaker, you look at that scene and say, oh, I'm gonna find the most impressive kitchen in Taipei. Actually, I put 3 kitchens together in that one sequence. I thought this is naturally called for a steady cam, walk by.
快一点呐！
左哥来了，幸亏你来。老温呢？
I wanted Mr. Chu to go in because it's a rescue mission. So I want to treat him like a surgeon, a doctor, medical surgeon. Put on the gloves, go to the heart of the problem, which is a melted shark fin soup.
这玩意儿只能做翅羹，脆盖就变成了刺猬了。改龙凤呈祥
啊，鲍鱼那得赔多少钱呢？
到这个时候赔钱也得做，先把场面稳下来，回头我再跟上面解释。
龙虾鲍鱼。
Food in Chinese culture is just an unbelievably rich vein for study, celebration, dissection, and mystery. In fact, when you go out to dinner at a Western restaurant, everybody has their menu and they all look over it and say, so what are you getting? In China, of course, it's quite different. It's much more focused as a social event, and food is really something that's shared as opposed to typically in the West, this is mine and that's yours, and maybe you can, okay, do you want a bite?
Before I start to make my first movies, before I start my career, there was 6 years that I didn't have any job. My wife works, and I was a house husband. I was doing all the cooking. So over the years, I think I developed this idea that someday I would just want to make a movie that make the audience saliva just keep drooling out.
国脚什么呢？
I think cooking had become one of my substitute of my affection, especially towards my family member, particularly my children and my wife. Most of the film they talk about sex, that get you instinctive reactions, but not a lot of movie that use food. It's like watching sex scene, you get aroused. So why not a lot of people using food? We overuse sex in the movies and not enough food. The food and sex, one is to sustain life, the other to multiply life.
菜，鸭性属寒，用洋葱来爆炒，正好可以平衡过来。食补药膳里讲求就是能性味3方面的平衡。
这我懂，就像阴阳需要调和一样嘛。
In order to get the audience saliva going for the food that's showing on the movie, you have to show the making of the food. The process is really stimuli for the taste bud. It is very difficult, I think, shooting food, because just technically to keep 6 to 10 or 12 courses a meal, it will take you maybe up to an hour, 45 minutes preparation. So everything on table, steaming at the same time. And then when the actors get really worked up, they screw up one line, you really want to kill them. Like 6 to 9 takes, this drives you crazy. And if you see faces and actually they do some cooking, they're actually doing it. Like blow up a duck, put flour over fish, that's an easy thing, or just simple chop. When you see close up, that's stun hands, and it's not just one. We have 5 general chefs, top of the line chefs that work with us. Like they make the wrappers, like pancake, that's a special skill. Or wrapping dumpling that's size like this. That's tedious work. The best of everything, which is putting one person. And then the trick is that nobody in the movie is actually eating them. They look over the food, they talk about the food or about something, but nobody touched the food. Then you're really gonna work the audience up.
Everyone always tells young writers, write about what you know. So to find yourself as an American writing about a Taiwanese family when you've only spent a few hours in Taipei pretty much breaks that advice down to its farthest reaches of uselessness. So I did a lot of research, and the more research I did, from foodways of Chinese culture to contemporary, the worse the script got.
They tried very hard to be a Chinese, but it just doesn't really like Chinese. So I kept complaining until he was so frustrated. He just write them like Jewish.
And I made a global change in all the names in the computer as I was writing the script to just Jewish names. And just let it rip, because it's about food, it's about family, and it's kind of Jewish.
金庸把神经病讲那么个不正在的，妈，就算不离婚，黄狗拉车怎么拖下去？到最后走一个，还不是剩下自己一个？你说是不是啊，鞠先生？
I just changed all the names from Jia Jian and Jia Chen and Jianing to, whatever, Sylvia.
And I say, oh, it looks very Chinese. That's a good improvement. So it was like, it must be something that is universal among all of us. I think that's how those films are worked. They're very specific, but there's a universal things which everybody in the world can somehow relate to it. The beauty to me of working with James in those projects is bring those textures.
我们等不及了，我又是个教徒，今天早上我们已经请牧师公证过了。
I think I'm just born good at family drama because I'm a very domestic person. And as I was growing up, I think in one hand we have the martial art films, action movies, that's very manly. And relieving emotion side of drama is always thought as very womanly things.
我以为你讨厌我，从来没有。
I was a big sucker for that. I cried my eyes out watching those family dramas. That was my first really women's movie. That was the movie when I realized that you have to pay special attention to the texture of when you make a women's movie. Hair, you have to be patient, makeup, whatever it takes, costumes. I used to be very impatient about that. And then I know it was important. So that was a transitional film for me. That really escorted me to do some job that's much bigger and much more responsible, such as Sense and Sensibility, costume drama about women, about mannerism. It's a movie of a lot of significance to me in my career and as a personal development too. I'm glad there is a DVD out.